welcome back to potentially, but hopefully not, the final edition of What the Falk at the Euros. We've done two of these major tournament type podcasts over the years, and both times England have made it to a final. So bizarre, maybe lucky, I don't know, but hopefully it ends better than it did last time. Excitement's building. I'm absolutely cacking my pants, as I'm sure everyone else is, but at the same time, massively excited. This is definitely what football's all about. So we've gotten together to try and alleviate those crapping of the pants and also the nerves by discussing the match. I don't know if it's going to work, but we'll give it a go. To join me is Brad Sharp. Brad, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm all good. I'm
Someone
not
somewhere, by
cracking
the
my
way, has just switched off. Oh, Brad's on. Oh, intolerable Brad.
good riddance. Um, yeah, I'm good. I'm not cacking my pants just yet. Actually, I'm quite relaxed. Um, I'm enjoying the sort of when you have a little flick through social media and seeing some of the videos that people are putting on. Obviously, you've got Durham big meeting today, and there's a lot of the brass bands have already started playing Three Lions and stuff, and then you've got like the King's Guards that band playing, the Marines playing it, and it's more of like it's meant to be a football festival, but it's at home. So yeah, I'm all right at the minute, but this time tomorrow I'll start when I'm sat in the pub. I'll be I'm sure I'll be cacking my pants.
I seen a video last night, and it was like someone had just put a montage of like all the like the Iceland game, getting beat off Croatia, getting beat off Italy, combined with all like the great moments from this tournament with like Frank Sinatra's My Way over the top and Southgate at the end. And I was just like, it's like we haven't even won it yet. It's not even the weekend, really. But Ross, you nodded your head there. So I'm guessing you've seen the Frank Sinatra, the what's the montage? That's it. How are you feeling? You all right?
I am good. You're right about the montages. They're everywhere, aren't they? Just putting
Absolutely.
little different ones all together. I just kind of stopped watching videos from Wednesday night. Like it's unbelievable. I just watch it all the time. Like there's loads of fans that were live vlogging it as well on YouTube. I think I've watched about 10 of them just to see every different angle of Watkins' goal, the bench reaction, everything. Just class. Um, I'm just creased as well as every pub in the northeast, just putting on like need bar staff Sunday, need bar staff Sunday, need bar staff Sunday. That's not going to happen, is it? And Cubic Festival's on in the northeast as well, and I've never seen so many tickets up for sale, which is hilarious. Everyone's clearly just wanting to go to the pub or stay at home and watch the match on Sunday. Um, but I just can't wait for it. Me like the whole build up. I think this time, last time, my mate was at a wedding, like it was mate's wedding on the day of the final. So the whole build up to the Italy game, it were kind of like I lost it all. I didn't have it on the day, and then when it came to kick off, we just put like a projector up in the room, which was class, especially when Luke Shaw scored. But the whole build up, like going to the pub, this feels to me like I don't know. It just feels different, and I'm hoping it for a reason. I was absolutely, and I probably will be tomorrow, but I was absolutely sick with nerves before the Italy game, like ill. This one, I've got a bit more excitement. I don't know if it's because I feel like we're the underdogs because Spain is so good, or it's just because the vibe of the whole thing where we just keep improving every game. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I'm so excited, man. It's finally European Championships in Berlin.
It sounds weird, but like I think a lot of the because I am look, it means so much to me. Like I can't. It's just another podcast for another day. I think if you want to listen back to previous podcasts, you'll understand why it means so much to me and a lot of people. But you look at those players that are in there; they were probably nervous as hell for the Italy game because like there's probably two generations of England fans that have never been in a major tournament final. I don't know. For me, I feel a bit calmer. Like, obviously, I think people know I'm a big Lionesses fan. So I've had like three finals, including one England men's one where I've had the experience of England being in a major tournament final. I've had the joy and I've had the disappointment. I kind of feel probably like some of the players that are in that squad. Like I've been here before. Like I've got the experience of it, which is actually helping the nerves a little bit. Um, but it's funny you talked about Cubics being on in Sunderland, in the northeast transmits on up here in Glasgow, so everyone's got an excuse to just fucking forget that it's happening. Like, but because I think everyone's let's just say like there's a lot of paella being ate up here, I think, but hopefully it's humble pie by Monday. But look, I'm going to ask an honest question. I'll come to you, Brad, with it. We try and be, we'll never be tactically astute, but we try to discuss the game, the way the game's going to be played, what we think we can do and why we can do it. I just want to ask a straightforward question, and it might be egg on all of our faces, but where's your gut? What's your gut instinct? How are you feeling it's going to go in your gut?
I think we're going to win it. Truthfully, um, the method of victory, I have no idea, because my gut's saying a nice steady 2-0 would be great. But just imagine if we go and win it like we've scored the last minute with Bellingham's overhead kick, or the last minute winner the other night. In them sort of circumstances, I genuinely don't think I know what to do. I say I'll be cacking it on the build up. I would genuinely have poo in my pants if that was the way that happened. Um, I like I am just quite relaxed about it.
Can I make you unrelaxed? What if it's penalties?
I'll not watch.
I will.
I
Stare
don't
them
think I
down.
could.
Ivan Toney it.
Yeah, but I don't think we're going to get in the keeper's head from watching it through the screen in the Black Bull.
You never
But
know.
I don't know. It might change if it came to that, because I have that much confidence in the penalty takers and the goalkeeper that we've got. But I just have a feeling that all the heartache that we've had, the very near misses over the last few years, it's all built up to this moment. And you know what? I think the players are quite relaxed about it. Yeah, and I think they have confidence in themselves that they can get the job done. They know how good they are. They know they've been like relatively poor throughout the whole tournament, but they have that confidence in themselves that no matter how poor, look, we're still here. I I just think everything's gearing up for an England win, and I might come back and look like an absolute muppet, but yeah, I just feel like it's our time. This has got to be our time.
That is probably the most nerve-wracking thing for me is my gut feeling. Um, I'm old enough and ugly enough now to have experienced an awful lot of football, both with Sunderland and both with England, of course. And um, I remember, sorry to bring it up, Sunderland fans who are listening, but when we got beat 5-1 off Newcastle, I remember it was probably the first time we were like favourites. And I'd spent most of my school life. I was born in Sunderland. I grew up in Shields, though, South Shields. And most of my mates, because it was the 90s, the early to mid 90s, followed that lot. And I'd had years of like watching them being pretty good at football and having like your Shearers and your Ginolas and all that. And we had like the Gary Howes and the Gordon Armstrong. There's no disrespect to them, but obviously a different class of player. And I always felt like, oh, one day we'll get our own back on them. One day I'll be on the right hand side of like this kind of rivalry and I'll be able to have me day. And I remember that day I thought maybe it will, but I was kind of a bit nervous. And then it went the worst way possible, and I thought this is never going to happen. Like football's just meant to make me sad. And lo and behold, we got beat off them 1-0. I think it's about 6 to 8 months later the next season, and then we went 6 games in a row and won. And that 6 game run made me realize that football is political. You're never going to have the constant bragging rights, as we found out this season. Eventually, something does die. And it's all about those memories and those moments. And sometimes it's just in your favour. And as with Sunderland and Wembley heartbreak and all that kind of stuff, I've had that with England countless times. Like the Croatia semi-final defeat was painful because it was the first time I started hoping that maybe we could. The Italy penalty defeat, I haven't watched the penalties back and I can't. I don't even like seeing it on the montage because it makes me feel absolutely ill because that really hurt. I think that was probably the last time I cried, let alone the last time I cried at football. And I'm the kind of guy that laughs at a funeral. Do you know what I mean? So like it takes a lot for me to kind of break down in tears. And I think back to Euro 96 when I was like, I would have been 10. And I had that kind of blissful hope, that ignorance almost that, well, of course England are going to win it. So I just feel like I don't know if it's my gut or just me going, well, low of averages saves, but it won't be like England will win things forevermore in the same way that Sunderland didn't win derbies forevermore. But there's always a time and there's always a moment when you go, today was my day. Like Sunderland fans will identify with that, with maybe the Wigan game. We never
Yeah,
thought Wembley was going to be it, did we?
I was just about to say that when you're using the Sunderland analogy. How I feel is exactly the same as how I felt when I was going to Wembley against Wigan.
Yes.
Compared to other times, I was always like when we played Pompey and then Charlton and what have you, Man City, I was always like, it'd be great if we won, but I just haven't got that.
It was like enjoy the
That
day, wasn't it? You were like, oh, just enjoy the
yeah,
day. And if it works out, great.
I haven't got that gut feeling that we're going to do it. But I just when we talked about it on the live pod when we were down in Trafalgar and then we're on Wembley Way, I said we can't lose this. I just didn't feel there was any way possible that we can lose this, and I have that same feeling. It's exactly the same feeling now. So yeah, when you ask me how I play, how I feel, it's a long way around. I feel exactly the same way as I did when we played Wickham. So if you want to know how I feel, just go back and listen to that one. Give us more views and more likes and more listens.
More dislikes and more unsubscribes, please.
Can I add a bit of balance to this?
I was going to say, like, I was going to ask how you got feels, and I knew for a fact you bring everything down because you're a miserable, energy sapping pain in the arse.
I'm a realist. And
arsehole.
on that note, yeah, I feel like, well, of course, the vibes are wicked. I'm buzzing for the final. I do think we've got a massive chance, but also the eye test, Spain are by far the best team in this tournament, by far, and they've got so many attacking threats that we haven't come up against anything close to it so far this tournament, and they do worry me. And they've not only just got through, but they've also beaten good teams in Germany and France. Okay, France, a lot of similarities to us actually, where they've been grinding out results. I think we're being better attacking, no doubt about it. And I think that's the one thing that gives me bit of confidence. The fact that defensively, I know Spain aren't rock solid and they have got weaknesses. Rodri's been phenomenal, but as Brad has pointed out to me, Kobe Mano was brilliant against him in the FA Cup final for Man United. Yeah, it's going to be a real battle. I'm not as I'm not as confident, but I'm not as relaxed as you two guys are by the looks of it.
I mean,
I feel like
not relaxed.
I'm one where I'm going to be not relaxed. I don't know. I'm not as easy at it. I am worried about losing because maybe that's just the pessimist. I can't even see it. Aye,
The pessimism is the word you're
that's the
looking
one.
for, Ross.
Aye, that's the one. That's inside of it. I don't know what to say, but the same, still an unbelievable achievement to get there. And just to add another bit of stat, the last time we played in the stadium, where the final is at, we were 2-0 down and we won 3-2 against Germany
and
in the 90th minute.
I was in Berlin, right? So like, that's funny you should come on to that because I didn't even click onto that. I was in Berlin with my ex, and we'd gone like, we used to go out like whatever hours in the morning in Berlin. And I've been to Berlin 21 times and literally can't afford to get there this time because the flights are just extortionate. But I went to Berlin and I was like, and my ex was also Scottish, and I was like, oh, can I just go and watch the match somewhere? So I was like, look, I'm not going to go to the game. I could have got a ticket. I was like, I'll not go to the game. Like, we've gone on holiday. It's just coincidence we're in Berlin at the same time. And she was like, okay, we'll go watch the game. So we went to watch the game, went in this bar. Germany went 1-0 up, and it became quite apparent that I was English. So the Germans were a bit like, way. And then I tried to get served a pint, and the barmaid was just kept ignoring us. And I was like, what's going on here? Like, so I went, you know what? I get the feeling I'm not really that welcome here, so I'm gonna just leave. And as I was leaving, the second one went in. I went, you know what? We'll just go out. Let's just go to the pub. And we ended up like, I forgot completely about it. I was like, game's done. Like, it's fine. I went to this pub called Trinkteufel, which is like my favorite pub in the world. And we were like in with these Estonian lads till like 2 o'clock, 3 in the morning, and they went, "Oh, where are you from?" So I'm like, we live in Scotland. I'm English. And the guy went, "Oh, you deserve a pint of all of us tonight. And I was just like, oh, haha, very funny. And he was like, no, check your phone. You won 3-2. I've like passed up a ticket, decided not to watch the match in Berlin, and only kind of found out when I was about 7 or 8 pints deep in this like pub early in the morning. And correct me if I'm wrong with this, Ross, it was Eric Dyer that got the winner with a header in the 90th minute.
I don't know what's more strange there quickly, right? Eric Dyer getting the win in the 90th minute, or 2 in the morning, you're only 7 pints deep. What is wrong with you?
I'm really like, I'm a spirit man.
All right, Graham is a cocktail man. When we went out after the Germany game, which again was an unbelievable moment when we talk about England football.
The last Euros, we mean, by the way, if anyone who doesn't know, me and Ross first met after England Germany at the Euros.
Me and Winnie were on the pints, and Graham was like, "I'll have a pina colada, please," and we were like. He was literally going through the cocktail menu on his own, bless him, whilst we were getting the two. I had a deal on pints, and Graham was like, "Oh no, I'm just going to go through the cocktail menu." So yeah, Graham is a cocktail guy.
I'm very much
Porn star martini, please.
Pina colada, man. Definitely pina colada, man. I once actually drank too many pina coladas randomly again in Berlin, and ended up having a fight with someone over Gareth Southgate and his merits. The argument is still there on Twitter if you want to search it. Be good fun. Ross, I'll come back to you with probably something away from the emotional side of it and the gut side of it. There is selection dilemmas tomorrow. I think there's been a few selection dilemmas throughout the tournament, but I genuinely think it's like a good headache we have tomorrow. So you've got Trippier and Shaw. There's the argument that Harry Kane could potentially be replaced. I don't think it's much of an argument. I think it's a discussion point. I don't think it's going to happen. Would you make any changes? And if so, where would you change it? And I mean that from like the starting lineup on Wednesday night.
I think you go with the same shape and tactics as you did the first half against Spain, because Spain aren't going to go defensive a bit like the Dutch didn't. Fair play to Southgate, he called the bluff on that. He was like, there's no way they're going to just sit back, they're going to go toe for toe for us. And he backed our attacking players. It's a risk, but I think you'll do exactly the same against Spain, because that's the best we can play and get the best out of our individuals on the pitch. But I think Luke Shaw's going to start, and I would start him. The fact is, he's done two games in a row now. He's played at least 45 minutes plus. And I think it could be a master stroke. We were all slating him, saying, why are we not bringing another left back? Luke Shaw could play 90 minutes and be one of the reasons why we win this Euros. And I do feel like this has been the whole plan all along, that they knew they could get minutes in him and bring him back. So then if we got further on the final, then we'd have that balance. And it's very interesting that Southgate in the past was like, yeah, Trippier's done amazing. Yeah, Shaw's just getting back. It seemed to change after the semi-final, and we were talking about, he was like, yeah, Shaw brings us so much balance on that left-hand side. And he mentioned balance, and he didn't wait like 60 minutes, 75 minutes for the last time. At half-time, he was like, right, straight away, he knew we needed Shaw on. And he just gives us so much like that. Even attacking-wise, that ball he put in, when nobody was on the penalty spot to tap it in, it was brilliant. And that's the kind of thing where Trippier's put one ball in, which against Slovakia, which Foden was ridiculously offside for. And I think that's the only thing I can think of him where he's got by the byline once, all tournament. And Luke Shaw did it in 45 minutes. So it's not Trippier's fault, by the way. No. But I also think defensively, Shaw's just as good as Trippier defensively. So to get that balance on the left-hand side, play him as the left wing back, I think it just works perfectly. And yeah, I think that's the only change I'd make personally, because going off that 45 minutes where teams are going to come at us expansively, yeah, there's the risk of the counter, but I think we dealt with that really well after the first 10 minutes. If we can do that and also get that attacking balance right, then I think that's the one change to make. And then you've got so many options off the bench to change a game, and Spain will know that. So Spain will know no matter what happens. If they're one goal up, if they're one goal down, no matter what. England have got so many game-changing options off the bench, and that's the one thing Southgate's shown in the past two games. He can use his bench correctly, and even if we're thinking, oh, go on, get them on now, he's timed them to perfection so far, so let's hope it's third time lucky and we'll do it again. But to me, that's the only change I'd make. Kane, you kind of drop. He's your captain. He's the joint top goal scorer, and if there's a chance in a final there's nobody I'd want to drop to more than him.
I think the big thing with the changes as well, you could argue and say, and I think it's a valid argument. I know some people might not because he had a good game on Wednesday, at least in the first half. You could say Palmer coming in for Foden. But I think for me, the biggest strength we've probably got on Sunday is that we have players that not just coming off the bench that are quality footballers and that can make a positive difference. They're coming on with a mindset that every substitute just about has changed it at some point. And that's a great mindset to come on with because it's all fine and good being like this whole new language of there's the starters and the finishers and everyone plays a part and all those kind of platitudes that you sometimes get. It genuinely does make sense this time. We have got like if we go on to win this tournament, and look, even if we don't, you're going to look back on it and go, well, Cole Palmer sets up Ollie Watkins, 2 subs in the semi-final. You look in the quarter-final, Ivan Toney comes on, scores a penalty. Trent scores a penalty. You look at the last 16, Ivan Toney sets up Kane. There's been substitutes, like we've just discussed a whole segment on Luke Shaw and the difference he made when he came on in the semi-final and in the quarters. I think we have a team of players that are great to start a game, but a load of people on the bench that aren't just good options that can be brought on and might make a change. I think they have the mindset that they will make a difference. Like Ollie Watkins saying to Cole Palmer, you're going to set me up and I'm going to score. Yeah, like it's a great story, but that's a good mindset. They're coming on going, you know what, we're part of this squad. We might not be starting, but we can make a difference. And I think when you look at the likes of Ivan Toney compared to maybe, I don't want to pick on him because anyone can miss a penalty. But you know, when Sancho came on in the final and he hadn't played very much, I think he played against Ukraine in the quarters. When he stepped up, I was just not confident because the kid looked like he was like, is it written in the script for me to make a difference? When Ivan Toney came on to take his penalty, he looked like I'm here to make the difference. And it's just a case of like sometimes confidence builds in substitute players that they will make a difference even if they don't start. And you can hear it in the conversations they're having. You can hear it in the things they're discussing pre-match. Ollie Watkins did the whole press conference yesterday, and his chat wasn't about am I starting him or not. It's like I'll make a difference when I come on. And other players can also do that. I think the team spirit's excellent, and I think that goes right back to something we mentioned in the group stages and before the group stages. The one thing you can never, ever, ever aim at Southgate is that he hasn't built a team of players that are desperate to play for him and make a difference for him. His man management's been absolutely superb. Even if his tactics have sometimes been a bit awry earlier in the tournament. Brad, I think like any game, here's my mad tactical analysis, right? Key clashes on the pitch make a difference in big games. Shock horror. We've touched on, I think a lot of people have looked at Rodri and Rice. I think there's a more important clash in a more recent game you can look at. That would indicate that there might be another player in that middle of the park that could go toe to toe with them. But who are the key clashes for you? Which areas of the pitch do our players need to win out to make sure that we are coming out of this game with a trophy?
I just think our attacking players need to do their thing. And I mean, their danger man, obviously, Yamal. And look, he's absolutely outstanding. But you have to remember the kid's only 16 as well. And I know he's being brought, is he at Barcelona's academy and stuff? So he's not no stranger to being around big environments and big characters and what have you. But I think the way we stop him, I agree with Ross, is I think Luke Shaw will be better suited. A natural left back. But I think it does getting at the Spain defence because France showed when they went 1-0 up that Spain aren't invincible. They are very, very easy to get in behind if you need to. The first 10, 15 minutes, I think France were the better side. So, yeah, I think if our attacking players are on form, we've said this, I think I've said this in every preview podcast. So I'm just going to keep saying it. There's no one touches our front six. There's no one from their front line that I would put in hours ahead of our players if they were at the top of their game.
I don't think I would, and this might come and bite us back in the arse because I like to Daniel Moore, Yamal can easily win the game. But if you give me the full front six, I don't think there's people I would change. I've got to be honest with that, and I'm not going to lie. Like Bellingham, Foden, the seasons they've had outstanding. Kane's season's been outstanding. Saka, like for me, is an England match winner. You could potentially argue you'd put Yamal in, because he's been excellent, almost been excellent. But like, there's no way I'd be having Morata and stuff in. And look, Morata might go on and get the winner and get beat 1-0 and everyone goes, "Way, football's football. Anyone can win any game at any point." But on paper, which is where football's not played, I think pound for pound, we have the best offensive players.
No, definitely. But I mean, when you're talking of battles all over the park, it's the centre midfield that I think will win or lose the games for both teams.
Because Rodri's better than what we've got. Let's be honest. Rodri's the best in the world.
You've got the best midfielder in the world, best at what he does in Rodri. But the counter that, you said it before, I think that on our preview of the whole tournament, we've got the second best. And Meno is, like I say, he's had his breakthrough season. He's still a relatively unknown quantity. I think I just feel like we've got enough. But I think the midfield battles where it's going to be key tomorrow, and I just pray and hope that we come out on top. Because although Rodri is the best in the world, I think we've got two that complement each other really, really well. And I think that's where we might get on top.
You also, just for clarity, got absolutely done by Callum McGregor about 8 months ago. So there is chinks in his armor somewhere, but no, I agree. I think Declan Rice has been outstanding at this tournament. I think he's one of the best midfielders in this position in the world, be that a 4 or a 6. I think Rodri's the better of the two, and I think he's the best in the world. So obviously, that's a key area for me. Ross, though, he's had a really good tournament. The stats indicate he has, but Cucurella versus Saka makes me lick my lips a little bit, and look, that might again be egg on my face, because at this point there is no bad plays. You can't be like, he's shit, let's get at him. Like, but Saka against Cucurella, if I'm watching Arsenal versus Chelsea, I'm going, oof, good luck Chelsea on that one a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Because of how good Saka is. But can Cucurella continue his form and maybe nullify him?
I say it just depends which Cucurella turns up, doesn't it? Let's be honest, if the Chelsea Cucurella turns up, we're laughing. If the Cucurella who played against France in the quarterfinal, semi-finals turns up, then it's going to be a hell of a battle. But I think it'll all depend on the midfielders tracking back as well, because what Kyle Walker did really well on the first half on Wednesday was he got up there for the overlap or the underlap every time, which made the Dutch drop down deeper, and the midfielders, sorry, had to get back and support the defence. Spain do defend well, but whether you're going to get the likes of, the wing backs and the wingers for Spain, are they going to drop back every time if we can get that overlap? That'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting. It is. There's so many little battles, but also, like, and now he hasn't had a great tournament, right? But I thought Harry Kane had a good first half on Wednesday, and what he did really well was he occupied the centre halves for the first time this tournament. He was high up the pitch and he occupied the centre half. Second half, I think, because he got tired and he got frustrated not getting the ball, he did drift back deeper than what he should be. But when he's in the box, he can occupy centre halves, and the Dutch have good centre halves. And this Spanish, I think Nacho's going to play any. I watched Bayern Munich v Real Madrid in the Champions League the first leg, and Nacho couldn't get close to Harry Kane. He was bullying him. Second leg, sorry, Nacho was one of the best defenders on the pitch, winning everything. Of course, it still took Real Madrid like a last minute Joselu double us or whatever it was to get through, but he's not there, so fuck him. And it just shows that they've got good individual players, but I think the main key for Spain is how well they're coached. Like, nobody was expecting them to be here, I don't think, for the start. But then after the first few games, we're like, oh, these are quite good. Like, they didn't even do fantastically during qualifying. Like, Scotland beat them at Hampden. Like, they weren't untouchable. They weren't unstoppable. but it just seems like they've just hit off recently.
Anyone
So
who watched the reverse game of that, they beat Scotland 2-0 in Spain. But like Scott McTominay scored an absolute worldie of a free kick that was absolutely ridiculous that it was like ruled out. And I think that just completely knocked the game on its head. And Spain got one shortly afterwards and then got like a late one and Scotland pushed. I dare say Scotland could have done them twice. The only thing I would say is if you look at the team that played at Hampden, it's vastly changed. They've changed quite a bit. It's almost like I think it's only 3 or 4 players in the team. But football's football, innit? I think there's a couple of things I wanted to ask because before I talk myself into the fact that Spain are favourites, I was going to ask, are Spain favourites? Yes, they are. They are favourites going into it. But I'll go with you first, Ross, and I'll go with you, Brad. Let's get back into the swing of course, it's going to happen. Oh, come on, England, England, England. What's your summer choice in the morning? What are you waking up to, Ross?
oh, it's gotta be. I don't want to jinx it, but it's coming home. But I don't know. I'll just have them all on the full repertoire. I'll just be bouncing around like an absolute idiot, won't I?
World in motion
Everyone will
every
be.
time. World in
World
motion
emotion. Yeah.
every
I
time.
was really disappointed here. I'm going to bring up my team at work, right? I work with two English people, an American, and only one of the English people knew the rap. So I was like, oh God, where do... So that's got to be worked on. Um,
Disappointing that.
it was, but I also think that imagine, right, if we do it, can I just point this out to you, right? And Harry Kane lifts the trophy. It's been made out by Gary Neville, and I agree with him. I just want to get your opinions. If Harry Kane lifts the trophy, he's England's greatest ever player.
Also, I just want to point this out, and again, it's another big if, right? If Harry Kane, if we win tomorrow, and please God, touching everything that brings me luck, that does happen, and Harry Kane scores 1 goal, and assuming Olmo doesn't, he's got the golden boot as well. Um, so he'd have won the tournament with a golden boot. Although personally, I'm hoping for a 2-0 with Bellingham to score both goals because I've had that on since the start of the tournament. So that's what I'm personally hoping for. But it puts it a bit into perspective that, even us have discussed, would you change Harry Kane? It's been discussed worldwide that he's not been at his level. I think it shows you how good Harry Kane is, that he goes into tomorrow's game potentially being like a tournament winner, a tournament winning captain and the golden boot winner, despite the fact he's looked injured and under par, and people have questioned if maybe we should change him. Look, that might not happen, but he still come out with that possibility, which shows that if he was anywhere near fighting fit, he possibly could have won the Golden Boot already, I think.
One thing I think to give massive kudos to Harry Kane is he hasn't got an ego. Like, look at Portugal.
No.
Ronaldo's ego absolutely killed them. So he would never get subbed off because he's untouchable. Mbappe should never have played the quarterfinals or the last group game. He even said himself he couldn't see much because of his face and his broken nose with a mask on. But again, he only got took off the last 10 minutes because he wasn't a penalty taker for France, or the last 15 minutes for France in extra time. Whereas Kane's came off now in extra time against Switzerland, took him off well before the end. He got took off after he scored the goal against Slovakia as well. He got took off. He's been taken off in every knockout game, which is and he scored 2 goals. So without them, he won the penalty and took it, and his header. He couldn't have missed, but it's just a natural position, right place, right time. I just feel like he hasn't been great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to start rewriting stuff. So we'll just wait and see. But here we go.
Quick one before I ask you the final question, you and Brad. So who was the first person that celebrated with Ollie Watkins as well at full time? It was Harry Kane. That's such a lack of ego. I thought it was brilliant. Question for you both, double question. I'll come to you first, Brad. Because we might not, I don't think we'll do one if we get beat. I don't want to. It's going to hurt. I don't think we need to. I don't think anyone's to listen to it. So hopefully this is not the last one. We have a review show after this and we're back into Sunderland. But Brad, favorite moment in this tournament, just in case we don't do any more, and your prediction, please.
Favorite moment got to be Ollie Watkins' goal the other night. Considering been quite a poor tournament for us. Like, and watching it, we've had so many decent moments, like, haven't we? But I'm going to say Ollie Watkins one just pipped it because that was unbelievable. I'm going to say 2-0. I'm as confident as I was against Wickham, so I'm going for the same scoreline. 2-0.
Ross, same to you, mate.
I'll not say Ollie Watkins because that would just be copying Brad. But to me, it would be that penalty shootout moment. It was the first time I went out to watch a match as well. The pub was absolutely jumping. And it was just totally bizarre to see an English team be that good at penalties. Like, every penalty perfect. Keeper saved one, nearly saved 2 or 3. And it was just like, it just had a feeling after that, like, it's on this. And I think that was just the moment I started to believe. And my prediction, 2-1 England.
Mine, Jude, because I'd give up. And I was sitting there, and Iceland was replaying in my head, which said in the podcast, it feels so Icelandy. And then out of absolutely nowhere, the guy that I said would turn up for us big in the tournament scored an overhead kick in the 95th minute. And I just went, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. What are we doing? And what does this mean? And I think that was just massive for me. And if we do go on to win it, which I'm going to predict we will, I'm going to predict 3-1 England. It will be because of the entire team, but Jude Bellingham needs to be given a statue immediately of him in the overhead kick stance, because we were a gnat's hair away from being knocked out of the tournament, and deservedly so at the time. And I think that changed everything from my mindset, country's mindset, and the team's mindset. And who else, as he would say himself. But lads, enjoy it. I really desperately hope we're back on to do a review show. If we're not, what ride. It's been brilliant. I'll be devastated as everyone else if it's not the way we want it to go. But let's enjoy it the best that we can. Hopefully it turns out to be something that we can savor for the rest of our lives. If it's not, there's always something to cheer us up in a couple of weeks' time as we start doing the previews and the reactions. But how are they like? Oh, done it again. Brad, Ross, thanks very much.
Cheers, mate. Come on, England.
Come on, England. And how are the lads against the Heat?
Oh, yeah.